Let's do it.
Thank you.
Well, Tiffany is done with housekeeping, so I'm going to start with housekeeping. Let's clean your house. Let's do it. I think that's a term in definitely in the addiction healing world is time to clean house. But that's in every world. We have to clean house. Listen, if you're on this call today, you are very, very fortunate. Because again, you're showing up, and that's the key to success is show up. That's the first rule. And man, do we have a treat for you this morning. It is it's a treat for me. They're always a treat for me. I just love how these things always work themselves out and comes up. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Make sure I hit share sound. So did everyone have a great Passover? Did you pass over from the ego to the soul? Remember last week, if you were on, we were talking about Easter and Passover, and hopefully you've resurrected and you are over here in the soul side here. Because sometimes with family, we all love our family, and there's nothing like family. We know that, and but sometimes there's a lot of holidays going on. There's a whole lot of ego going on too, right? So hopefully this Easter and this Passover, you passed over from the ego side over to the soul side. Or you're resurrected over here and you're staying here as much as you possibly can, right? Over into the soul side. But listen, today we're talking about calculus. How many of you like calculus? Did you like calculus in school? See, I bolted out of the 8th grade, so I never had to face calculus myself, but I did have to face calculus in life school, and I'm going to talk about that today. And it's really you're talking about a thought reversal system, this idea of calculus for life. It's a great topic. So here we go. All right, so welcome. Mindy Mind Body Makeover Mastermind. Remember the Facebook group, folks. If you haven't joined that mastermind yet with me, we're putting a new look on it again. We're getting rid of the 100,000 steps because I don't think people are they're feeling challenged and they misunderstand what that's about. So we're gonna tweak that a little bit. But anyway, let's go ahead and awaken that giant that's within you today, and let's get moving and talking about calculus and how we can, above all else, see and that we can get you calculating towards success. So today is part 7. We started with this idea of this. We have this illusion of we're going to sail the 7 seas one day, right? Everything's going to be well. Our ship's going to come in. But a lot of times we didn't put it out the port. So how do we put that ship out the port? But there's 7 C's that we talked about, right? It's all about truth. And those 7 C's is just another reminder, and then we'll get into the calculus. Those 7 C's that we talked about is avoiding that 1 C, which is a cancer, is complacency. And the only way you can avoid that is by really, truly having these 7 C's in your life and having control of them. The clock, you can't manage time, only your calendar. You can't manage contact. You use them or lose them. You have to manage contacts, or you lose them or use them. Use them or lose them. Commitments, a pledge or undertaking. Watch your commitments both ways. Make sure you make the right commitments. Make sure you're not committed to things that are not serving you, not serving your life, not serving your well-being, not serving your emotional life, your financial life. Watch your commitments, right? And make the commitments you need to make that really serve you and serve your purpose in life. Concerns that, again, only 8% of the things that people worry about really come true. This is scientific studies and facts. And in other words, less than 1 of 10 things you stress about is actually worth it. And then there's the other stat is that about 80% of these, 90% of these, you have no control over anyway. So we talked about that, your concerns. Here's this real 7 C's we need to keep focusing on. Communications. Everything the way I'm communicating to myself, is it loving? You got to listen to yourself also, right? You got to listen to what you're saying, both the good and the bad. And because listening is loving. Concepts, self, how we perceive our behaviors, abilities, and our unique characteristics. And today we're going to talk about this calculus and have this calculus formula for our success. And then causes. It's amazing how many of us, and myself included, we're all in this. Anybody that's human has done this. They've picked up causes that they thought were so near and dear, and then they turn out 5 years later, 10 years later, they realize that cause was not at all a good cause, maybe, or they were misinformed. So we got to watch our causes. And then conversation versus conversion. Everything in life is a conversation. There's no conversion. I can't tell you, if you're black, you should be white. You can't tell me if I'm white, I should be black. You can't tell me that if I'm Republican, I should be Democrat. If I'm Democrat, I should be Republican. If I'm, Catholic, I should be Christian. If I'm Christian, you should convert to Judaism. No, Muslims. And, and this is what it is. The whole programming that we've had, it all comes from the ego. The ego loves to try and convert. The soul loves conversation and communion. That's the difference in living on the soul side, on that right side, is that your causes, it's all about conversation, not conversion. So let's get into the calculus, guys. I know, how many of you, just speak up for a minute, how many of you love calculus in school? How many of you took calculus in school? And let me just stop share. I want to see some of the chats here. How many of you had calculus? Let's see, I struggle with that every day. What, calculus, Joe? Joe, what do you struggle with every day? Oh, you love calculus. Okay, Karen, keep her notes, by the way. She's good at calculus. Joe, what do you struggle with every day? What was that?
Getting the ego to switch over to the soul.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Okay, amen. Every day. How about every 10 minutes? Right, every 10 minutes. Okay, took calculus. Some people say they love calculus. Okay, cool. All right. How would you love to have a calculator? I'm going to give you guys something today. It's a real gift to you. It's a calculator for success in your life. It's a calculator that you can ace the test of life. How many would love to have that calculator? You see your hands. Okay, I'm going to give you that calculator. You will ace every test, and you will definitely, with this calculator I'm going to give you, is that you're going to be able to ace every test. So what is calculus? And I just love this. Calculus is a branch of mathematics that involves the study of rates of change. Has any of you had any rates of change in your life? Before calculus was invented, all math was static. Has any of you had any part of your life that's been static? You may have been maybe in a period of time where you felt maybe it was static, but even that wasn't static, because either we're coming out of a crisis, either we're in the middle of a crisis, or there's a crisis coming up. Life is never static, right? I've got a number of them going on myself right now. It could only help calculate objects that were perfectly still. It could only help calculate objects that were perfectly still, but the universe is constantly moving and changing. How many of you, your universe is moving and changing constantly? The only thing consistent in life is what? Change, right? That's the only thing that's consistent. So I love that, but the universe is constantly moving and changing. What is the purpose of calculus? What's that?
Tax.
Yeah, there you go. But the universe is constantly moving and changing. I love. What is the purpose of calculus? Calculus is concerned with two basic operations: differentiation. Differentiation. Is your life different in a good way? Do you differentiate yourself in the positive way? Right? This whole idea of, differentiation. Your business you got to differentiate yourself, correct? If you're just one of the same, differentiation is a powerful law. And then integration. You've got to integrate in your life. You got to integrate, especially in business. There's all these tools you can integrate. You got to integrate the emotions of selling. You've got to integrate the math of selling, the business practices of selling. So, we got to have a calculator to calculate our success. We got to figure out calculus for success. I love this one. In fact, calculus is the mathematical backbone for dealing with problems. What is success? Success is the management of failures and setbacks. None of us are going to get through this life without failures and setbacks. We think they're there to harm us. They're there to serve us. So this is what calculus is for, is that dealing with problems where variables change with time or some other reference variable. Is that unbelievable? So here's your gift, folks. I got your calculator for life. And this is it. All you got to do is press some certain buttons, okay, and you can figure out life. Okay, hey, look, it's working. So let's see. We got to add one of these in here. We got to add one of these in here. We got to add one of these in here. Let's see what that equals. Yep, no, not yet. Oh, how about this one? This one. You know what? Is this ridiculous? Well, right? I don't recognize this problem. How many of you, your life has been like that? You push certain buttons. You said, oh, let me go over here. No, I'm going to pick this one. Wait a minute. Let me pick this one. No, here. And this is your calculator for life. How many of you feel like that's been your calculator for life? Right? We go and we grab something that we think we can just push a button and then it works. It doesn't work, right? So this is your gift, the calculator of life right there. Whoops, I just closed out my slides. Oh, no, I didn't. Okay, here we go. So being somewhat facetious, but that's what we all are looking for. We're looking for a calculator. I can just push the right buttons, right? That's just the way that our ego wants to operate. Instead of really being mathematical about our lives and measuring our lives, I love this that I found here. Calculus is an integral part of my life. Without it, I wouldn't be able to see the holes and have the distance or time to prepare to thrive beyond my limits. Are you really prepared to thrive beyond your limits? Folks, you are not limited, but we grab this calculator. Let me try this one. We grab this relationship. Let me try this. This one's going to make me happy. Oh no, I need more food. No, I need more drink. I know I need to move. That's what I need to do. I need to get out of my environment. Boy, that'll work. But it's me pushing those stupid buttons on that calculator. And I don't care how many buttons you push, it just doesn't work without really what this statement here, I wouldn't be able to see the holes. You've got to see the holes. Success is the artful management of failures and setbacks. And every time you have a failure and a setback, you just got to say, hey, another hole. And I have the distance and time to prepare to thrive beyond my limits. And this is going to help me thrive beyond my limits. And we got to get out of this life by default, and this is it, man. This is real stuff. This is real stuff. This is it. But what is our plan here? How are we calculating? I wish life was as simple as calculus. I like that one. I wish life was as simple as calculus. Well, here I got a special guest for us. Okay. Oh, by the way, I don't know if you realize it, but I figured this out and I wrote a book on it. I came across this morning. There's a book, Life of Fred. This math guy, this PhD wrote this book. I said, I got to throw that one up there. So that is not the book of Calculus for Success of Life. It's a math book on calculus that this doctor came up with. But I thought that one was pretty cool. But here you go. I know you're driving, and Tiffany's going to put this in the chat box for us, the link to the PDF. And again, remember, this is a collection of my 50 plus years in personal development, right? And this goes way back to when we started a year and a half or so ago, with the spiritual side of success, the Soulful Wednesday. But here's the 7 Ds for your C's, okay? The 7 Ds for your C's. Calculations. Isn't that interesting? The other 7 C's, now there's 7 Ds. And here's our special guest this morning, nationally known. Hopefully I shared my sound one more time. Let me make sure. I always have to check on myself. Get ready, folks. This is powerful. 2 minutes here. Try to take mental notes if you're driving there. And let me go ahead and play this.
Running the marathon didn't bother me, but doing only a marathon's a killer in itself.
Okay, everyone can hear. Just give me a show of hands. Yeah, perfect.
So I could not conceive of doing 120 miles of biking plus a long swim before that. But the more you object to something, sometimes it kind of haunts you. Well, I got haunted.
Here she comes then, folks. This is Sister Madonna Pooter. 90 years old, 45 Ironman triathlons under her belt, the Iron Nun, finishing it off at the 2020 Glasgow Triathlon.
Well, first of all, you have to have the 7 D's to succeed in anything. You have to dream, and from the dream comes the desire. From the desire comes the dedication. From the dedication comes the discipline. From the discipline comes the determination to dare to do it. I actually got into triathlon through running, and I was introduced to running by a priest, so I entered some more running races, and from that met a friend who had gone to Kona to do the Ironman. And when he came back from Kona, he said, "Sister, you've got to do this." I said, "Do what?" He said, "Well, there's a 2.4-mile swim and 112 miles of biking and a marathon on top of that. And it's in Hawaii." I said, "What?" And then did about 45 Ironman since. Well, that's one thing I'll never understand. How a little old lady can be an inspiration to anybody. I don't understand it, but I don't have to understand it. I just want to do God's will. And if God's putting me out there to be an encouragement for others as they advance in years, I accept it. And I don't understand it, but I don't have to.
Is that unbelievable? You know, I just love it. You know, 45 Ironmen. It's crazy, and 90 still going strong. And her 7 D's dream. How many of you really have a dream in your life? How many of you can look in the mirror and say, "I have a dream"? I have a dream. What is your dream? Think about it. And if you don't have a dream, you've got to dig deeper. It's there. You came here with it. I guarantee you, you arrived on planet Earth with that dream already in you. It's there. If you are not experiencing that, you can look in the mirror and say, "I have a dream." And not just this here. Well, yeah, I know I have my children. I'm going to raise them, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and I'm going to, but truly a dream. And then you have the desire, right? The desire, not the wish, not the hope for. If only one day I'll, which is all part of these slide decks, all the things I just mentioned are all in here. But a true desire that when you get into those holes, right? When you see the holes in your life, and you have distance and time to prepare to thrive to beyond your limits. So even though the holes show up, that you have such a desire, you just keep going and going and going. That desire, nothing can put that fire out. How many of you have a fire, a dream in your heart and a fire in your belly? That desire is fire. And then dedication. That mindset on the Facebook group, the reason I did that is when I mixed that physical movement of walking and I do some jogging and all with it, but the walking and the programming of the mind is that I'm able to, get that mind and body working together. Because folks, you could have the sharpest mind there is, but if your body's out of sync, then it's going to affect it. And you're not going to be able to have these dreams, desires, and then the dedication to carry out those dreams and desires. So you got to be dedicated. And then discipline. Folks, I know none of us like that word. None of us like that word, discipline, but we got to fall in love with that word. We got to, we just got to do it. We got to find that discipline. But see, the discipline doesn't come if you don't keep that focus on that dream and desire and you dedicate yourself to it. If you get this discipline and put it up here, you can't have discipline first. It doesn't work. You got to have this dream. Again, Jim Rohn, work harder on yourself than you do anything else, and everything else takes care of itself. So this starts with the dream, the desire, the dedication. Then you put the discipline to it. So many times we try to work ourselves up. If you remember, that is the ego's trick, right? The ego's trick is to get you focusing over here on this side and trying to move this up the ladder, right? I'll just do more. I'm going to perform. I'm going to do this. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to the gym. Performance, performance, performance. Do, instead of be. And this is what she's talking about in these 7 steps. And in this order, which is really important, is that you have them in this order, because you can't put the discipline first. That comes automatically from these. And then determination. As soon as you get the discipline, something's going to come up. Your phone's going to want to ring. Someone wants to have a different plan than you have. And that's why you got to control the clock. That's why you got to control your calendar. Not to control the clock, excuse me. You got to control your calendar, because you can't control the clock. You got to control your calendar. So you got to have that determination that no matter what, you're going to keep going. And then you got to dare it, she said. You got to dare. Give yourself some dares. I remember when I said, I'm going to dare myself to walk 20,000 steps a week. I'm going to dare myself. Forget this 5,000, 10,000. I'm going to go 20,000. And I remember I hit the 20,000. I said, wait a minute. I did 20,000 steps that easy? Oh my gosh, I think I can do 50,000. I remember the 50,000 steps, and then it was just 5-6 hours a week. And then I said, you know what? I wonder what it's like to break 100,000 steps. How long would that take me? And I said, well, wait a minute. I've got to put the education in at the same time and give me a purpose while I'm out walking, and to get to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 books a month to get through them. And I remember when I broke 100,000, I said, wow, that's amazing. And you just dare to, and then it happens, and then you just do it. The old just do it, right? The Nike. So I hope that you get off of your 7 C's, the SEAS, keep focusing on the 7 C's that you could do something about that's in this slide deck. Tiffany, you can put that in if you haven't put it in yet. And that you take the R and none example. Please play this for your friends. Please play this for yourself. Play this every morning, 2 minutes. If this doesn't get you going, and when you look how many people, I've got a very dear loved one that 12 years ago, I begged, I pleaded, I supported, I did everything in my power to say, listen, we got to have a better plan for you and your health. We got to have a better plan for your future. And it just fell on deaf ears. And you've got to have those 7 Ds to make sure that you're just not living life by default, right? And take her example, let her give you not the inspiration, again, motivation, just washes off at night when you take a shower. As Frank McKinney says, inspiration is like a good sunburn. It may last, a week, 10 days, but aspiration, what are you aspiring to? And that's in this slide deck, right? What about aspiring? So I hope that this has been helpful for you in the midweek mastermind here. Please focus on this. I would print this out, put this on my mirror, my bathroom. It looks like I have all kinds of things up. I have daily lessons up. I put this kind of stuff up because it reminds me on a constant basis to stay on the side of the soul and stay away from the ego side. So these things come true, and that, I'm able to have that calculus power going here and to live beyond my limits. So I hope that helps. So let me open it up because I have a Lyft ride coming soon to get to the airport to head off to San Francisco to see my grand niece. Whoop, I see an empty car. Jonathan, hi, Jonathan. All right. So was that helpful in your midweek mastermind? Yay, Claire. Good. Speak up, everybody.
It was very helpful, Fred. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Good.
I only written down. Can you help me out? Tell me the one I missed.
Oh, okay. The D's.
Huh?
Oh, you know which one you missed? I missed it too. She added the two together at the end, and she added the dare and do it. So it's dream, desire, dedication, discipline, determination, dare, and then do it. Yeah.
So much.
Yeah. That's an incredible story, isn't it? 90 years old. Can you know that? And then she has the humility to say, what does what can anyone learn from a little old lady? Let me tell you something. I mean, that's the kind of stuff not gets me pumped up, not gets me motivated, doesn't even inspire me. What it does, it gets me to say, wait a minute, she's living beyond her limits. And I can do that. I can live beyond my limits. I don't need to be 90 and being pushed around in a wheelchair, right? So that's why you listen to people like this. This is why you walk and you listen to books and other people's stories, because you now see that it's possible to live beyond your limits. Live beyond your limitations, yes. All right, somebody else.
I found it interesting, Fred, that she says, I don't understand it. Like she said that 3 times. And she goes, but it wasn't for me to understand. I just had to do it. It was God's will.
Yep. And you know what, Claire, what's interesting? If I would have listened to this back when I was a youth like you, no, seriously, when I would hear things like that, right? When you hear things like that, you don't appreciate it as much as you start going through that chart, right? And at 68, when I hear that more and more every day, when you're on this journey of the soul, right? And not the ego, and when you can learn to keep being on the soul side, you get less and less like you know anything. And that's what she's saying. It's that sense of like, I'm wowed by life. I'm wowed by the spirit. I'm wowed by the miracles that just come about. It's like me meeting her. It was on my journey of walking and listening to someone's book. And I had not listened to that book, I wouldn't have been introduced to this lady. But when she said that, I would have not appreciated that as much back because I don't have a reference point. It's like when I was younger and I had small children, right? People my age walk up and say, man, whatever you do, take your time. The days are short and you're going to miss it. And I would go, man, just shut up with you already. I am tired of hearing that stuff. Well, now guess what I say? When I watch my children, not treat their children the way that they should treat them. No, I always thought, they should be treating them like my grandchildren, not their children. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, her humility but that's, if you live on the soul side, I mean, you get to where you live in wonder instead of effort. And that's what, you're not on that performance side of the ego. You're just in that amazement side of the soul, and that these things just come about. And her motivation is not, she doesn't have to think about getting up and doing it. She just, because she has that stuff in order that way, it happens, right? Is that people, I mean, if you would have told me, 10 years ago, I would be disciplined enough to get up every morning 4:30 and do what I do for 2 hours, I would have gone, what? But you grow into that as you keep raising that level over on the soul side and who you're becoming, right? Not what you're doing, but what you're becoming, and living life without limits. Somebody else? Anyone else? Okay. Tiff, I'm gonna start heading out here because I'm gonna go catch a Uber to get to the airport.
Okay.
I would like to hear from a few more people. What are you gonna do with the 7 Ds though? Did this spark something that's saying, man, I've got to rewrite this stuff, or anybody gonna take some action? Remember the story of Lincoln, right? When the reporter asked him when he was leaving a church service, he said, how do you like it? He said, I didn't like it at all. He said, you didn't like the sermon? He said, nope. Why not? Because he didn't ask me to do anything great. So what are you going to go out and do great as a result of the iron none? How are you gonna change your calculus? How are you gonna use your calculators? Quit looking for magic calculators. Just do the basics, right? Anybody? Quiet.
Staying consistent and reaching out to people to pour into their lives.
There you go. All right. So you're all letting Claire and I do all the talking. That's gonna come on, Claire. Let's stir them up. I'm gonna turn it over to Claire. Stir them up, Claire. 57 people. We should be hearing a whole lot.
Tell somebody you love them today.
There you go.
So this
Dedicate
is what's
yourself.
interesting, Fred, when we see all of our team that we're incorporated with on this call, I love the fact that they are silent because they're internalizing everything that you have fed us, you know,
Good.
and that means that their internal conversation is being changed.
Great.
Because of that limitless possibility. So they're stopping their head, starting their heart, getting the soul, diminishing the ego. So I like the fact, I think it's a positive thing that they're kind of silent because they're internalizing everything. That was a lot of great information.
Yep.
And it's going to spark them, you know, is my head saying right? Is my gut saying right? You know, it's that litmus test that you're teaching us every day. So thank goodness. But I do like to see their faces, which is really kind of interesting because they're like going, you can see that that's in their internal conversation is speaking to them. And I kudos, keep listening to it.
That's good. Good for you. Thank you for that. And when you say that, again, with this idea of the Passover, over here, it is quiet, right? So that's a good point. So maybe you're right. Experience stillness in here. Over here, story and language, illusions blind. So keep moving this up, folks. I hope that I moved this up a little bit for you today, and get a hold of this PDF and just digest it. The one thing from Napoleon Hill, the link, Outwitting the Devil, a 6-hour book. You want to really live over here, you make sure you spend time with Napoleon Hill and Outwitting the Devil. I guarantee you'll be forced to stay over here. So keep working on this. And I'm going to say it again, happy Passover and happy Easter. So, all right, I'm going to take off, and I'm going to turn it over to, Claire, you take over.
Thank
How's
you,
that?
Fred.
You're welcome.